So I didn't really think this was an odd thing about me until the other day. Picture this, or don't, because I'm gonna draw it out either way. So I'm in the break room with two of my coworkers. It was a pretty chilly day for a Californian, so I was wanting some soup to warm me up. And I also work at a grocery store, if you didn't know, and we have some ramen. Like a cup of noodles type ramen, and I haven't tried it before. So I was expressing how that kind of sounded good and I wanted to get it. One of my coworkers said she tried it before and said she didn't like it. Not because the flavor wasn't good, she actually liked how it tasted, but she didn't like it because of the noodles. At first I thought, oh, they probably used a healthy type of flour or something so the texture is weird, because the ramen low-key did look like one that would be quote-unquote healthier, less sodium, no MSG type thing. So okay, that makes sense. Different flour equals weird texture. But that wasn't it. The thing she said was that the noodles were hard and she felt that no matter how long you let it sit in the hot water, it probably wouldn't absorb it and they just stay firm. And I sat there and said, oh, that's fine because I like firm noodles. She and the other coworker proceeded to look at me confused and say, what? I understand if they disagree and like softer noodles, but I wasn't expecting them to come after me like that after that response. They didn't say anything bad, but they were like, if you left it in the broth all day, the noodles would still be hard and stuff like that. But to me, that sounds great. If my noodles never got soggy again, that would be amazing. That's also why I don't really like udon, because the thicker noodles aren't my favorite. And I somehow correlate the thickness of a noodle to the softness. I can't be the only one, right? Like when you go to a ramen restaurant and they give you the list of everything that you can customize with your ramen, the reason they give you a choice for soft, normal, or firm noodles is because there are also people out there who like firm noodles. But at my work, apparently everyone likes softer noodles. After the debacle, I asked so many people who were working that day what they prefer, and almost all of them said soft. And I was shook to my core. I think my preference stemmed from eating instant ramen packets like chips. I often did the thing where you would break the ramen into chunks and pour the seasoning packet into the bag and shook it up and ate the noodles completely raw. Also, I was a huge fan of crispy noodles. At the Chinese restaurant my family visited, they sold this dish called a seafood nest, where it came with seafood resting on top of crispy noodles that was shaped like a nest. And then you broke the noodles and mixed it all together so the noodles are coated with the yummy sauce. So I think all those crispy noodles made my preferences. My usual excuse about liking firm noodles always was that if I eat my noodles firm, then by the time I get towards the bottom of my meal, the noodles will be cooked normally. I'm notorious for being a slow eater, so if I cooked my noodles for the 3 minutes, they'll be soggy by the time I get to the bottom. That kind of makes sense. It also takes way less time for me to make instant ramen too. When I make the packet ramen, usually I'll boil water, add the seasoning packet and let it dissolve, add any extra fixings I want like eggs, and then add the noodles last. Usually right when I add my noodles, I turn the heat off, and then letting it sit in the hot broth while I grab my bowl and stuff will usually boil down the noodles to the way I like it. On the other hand, if it's cup ramen, usually you have to leave it covered to cook everything. Well, I put the hot water in and leave the top off. I just mix it around until the noodles separate and then eat it. Yeah, so I think you could say I like my noodles a little more firm than firm. Extra firm, I guess, would technically be the right term. So I don't know, how do you like your noodles? Because apparently I'm in the minority for this one.